Well, for The View from Europe, I'm joined now by Doveri Vesterbye, who is the Communications Director for Young Friends of Turkey. That's an organisation working for improved dialogue between the EU and Turkey. The report found an overall negative trend in the respect for the rule of law and fundamental rights for Turkey. Is this a fair assessment, do you think?
Yeah, I think the progress report of 2015 definitely reflects a quite fair and reasonably balanced approach towards Turkey and the progress that's been going on throughout the last 12 months. I mean, this can both be seen firstly in terms of how the progress report reflects on things like media freedom and the censorship which the EU accuses Turkey of, but it also reflects positively on other areas, like, for example, how Turkey has managed to align itself with the acquis communautaire, which is kind of the rule set of the EU.
Well, how can Turkey address some of the concerns raised in the report? Because it was predominantly negative.
There's a lot of negative criticism in here, that's for sure. I mean, I think the progress report should be seen as a question mark from the EU. The AKP has won a single-party majority government, as we saw in the recent elections, and now the EU has kind of passed the ball on to Turkey, asking what will happen next. You now have 4 years. Will you reform? Will you reform your judicial process? Will there be more judicial independence? Will there be more media freedom? Will there be less shoveling around of bureaucrats as we've seen in recent years? I think that's the main question what the EU is asking about. But at the same time, I also feel that the report definitely asks another question, and a very balanced one, which is for the first time ever, the EU actually adds things like reference to the PKK being a terrorist organization. They add things like the fact that that the EU should be playing a much bigger role in terms of refugees, and they're thankful to this. That's an important aspect as well, not to be forgotten.
Samuel, you touched on a really important point, that the EU has essentially now passed the ball to Turkey, and it is up to Turkey to make its next move. In your professional opinion, do you see the Turkish government taking notice of these recommendations, implementing any changes, and possibly having the chance to join the EU?
Yeah, again, I mean, the simple fact, I mean, it depends on a lot of different factors, but this progress report, contrary to previous progress reports, should definitely be seen as a sort of olive branch. So there is a lot of criticism, as you've mentioned before, media, judicial, and so forth, but at the same time, they do refer to the PKK as a terrorist organization. They do refer to the parallel structure, something which the EU has rarely referred to before, and something that the Turkish government has been talking about for years. Now, the simple fact that you can see that the EU is trying to get into the head, into the mind frame of the Turkish government, implies that there is will on the EU side. So, I mean, regardless of what will actually happen, it is definitely the most desirable outcome for Turkey to try to pick up on these reforms because, again, it's a form of olive branch.
Doveri Vesterbye, thank you so much for your contribution this evening.